Vijay, can you start the recording? Thank you. Okay. I think last class we discussed about OOPS concept, right? Okay. So today we are going to discuss about variables and data types. Data types. So before going to discuss about variables and data types, first you need to understand the keywords. Okay. What is the keywords in Apex class? Generally, what are the keywords we are using in Apex class? Generally, keywords is nothing but whatever keyword it is defined by the compiler. The meaning of the compiler is it is predefined the value. Okay, see, suppose it is a wide function means there is a certain properties are there. That properties already predefined in the system, predefined in the at the time of compiler. Okay, that value is never changed. That is something like keyword. Keywords are never change. Whatever meaning or whatever properties are there, that it will execute at the time of compiler. It will not possible to update that values. Okay, that is something like keywords. Generally, keywords are nothing but meaning is whose meaning is predefined by the compiler. Compiler is nothing but the particular language. Okay, whenever you compile the code, so whenever you are executing the code, compiler is nothing but when you're executing the code, the predefined values never change. See, suppose if you are mentioned string, that is a string value only you have to define. If you mention string and you are passing the integer value, it is not allowing. Okay, so that is something like a keyword. Okay, so generally example is class. Class is the keyword. Yesterday we discussed, right? Public class, class name. Class is never changed. If you mention the class, that is in Apex. It is showing as a this is the class, and it is a collection of methods and variables, and it will execute while the compiling the code. Okay, so means the class whatever properties backend it is defined, that never change. Okay, so that is something like keyword. Example one more is access specifier public. Okay, so if you mention the public, if you want to run the class as a private, no, it's not possible. Public means that class you can accessible for within the organization anywhere. Okay, so that is something like public. We'll discuss in detail the keywords in going forward, but just understand what is keyword. Okay, and wide function and non-wide function like interface and try catch error. You know try catch error, right? So try catch methods, if condition, else condition, while loop, for loop, extended, extendeds, and also there is one more keyword, implements. This is like this we can use number of keywords in Apex. Okay, these keywords, these properties, it's never change. Okay, and also as per best practice always we can mention keywords are in small letter. Okay, sometimes we are going to use public class in capital letter. Generally class also we are going to small letter only. So generally whatever keywords we are using, that in Apex class we are using for small letter. Even though you're using capital letter also, system will accept it, but that is not a best practice. So we need to follow the best practices while writing the code alignment and code format. And so we are working in cloud platform, right? Cloud means it is a multi-tenant architecture. Multiple users are working in same server. So that is the reason Salesforce implemented some limitations, even not only configuration, in development as well. Okay, so the runtime limit based on runtime limitations are based on runtime limitations in your mind, so that you have to create a code like that. You have to develop the code based on the limitations only. If you are writing the code by your own way, sometimes what happen, it will hit the governor limits, so that end user not able to perform the activity, it will get a error. Okay, so something like that. So please, whenever you write the code, follow the best practices. That which best practices we need to follow, that we'll discuss down the line. Okay, for topic wise. Next one is constants. What is constants? Constants is nothing but it is a value. Okay, so whatever value it is defined, it is not changing during your execution of the program. Okay, suppose you are defined some amount equal to 25,000 in one of the class. So wherever you are referring that amount variable, wherever you are referring that value, during the execution, that value is never changed. Okay, that is something like constant. Okay, so what is that? Constant is a value. It is not change during the during runtime of the program. Okay, runtime of the program. Generally constants are four types. Okay, four types. What are that? One is numerical constants. Numerical constant. What is numerical? Numerical always start with 0 to 9. Okay, 0 to 9, or with or without decimal, with or without decimal value, decimal decimal or sign, whatever. Okay, and one more is string constants. String constants means any value representation of representation within the single quote. Okay, within the quote single quotes is nothing but a string. Okay, example string name equal to Raju. Okay, like this we can define. Okay, that is something like a string value. String always we can define using single quotes. Within the single quotes only we can define the string value. If it is a numerical value, or if it is a decimal value, or maybe integer value, we are not using single quote. Directly we can pass the data. Example, sorry, age integer integer age equal to 35, like this. Okay, like this we can define is numerical values, right? One more is boolean type of constants value. What that is something like true or false value. And one more constant is null value. Null value means null values. We have to check the blank values. Okay, if you want to pass any blank value during the execution of the program, then we can define a constant like boolean equal or null equal something, rating equal to null, or phone number equal to null, something like that. We can pass the null values as well. Okay, if you want to pass any blank values. And boolean also, suppose if the condition is true, or maybe some check equal to true, then only we can execute the code. How to maintain, or how to check the based on checking or something based on condition, then we can use for boolean variable. Okay, so these are the types of constants we are using in Apex programming. Okay, so how to define that boolean variable? Simple. So boolean is run equal to true, like this we can define. Okay, so here if you want any value equal to null value, something like that, we can define the values in Apex class. Now next one is identifiers. Okay, what are the identifiers we are using? So generally how we are identifying in general human. So what, suppose we are working some organization, so how we are going to identify which type of organization based on your work, right? So suppose you are working in Cognizant, that is something like IT industry. Suppose some people are working in any core companies, maybe that is non-IT companies, something like that. Each organization there is a identification, right, based on the name, or maybe based on whatever value it is given to the particular property, right? So same like here also, identified is nothing but it is a name given to the variable, methods, class, interface, packages, whatever. Okay, whatever name we are giving to the class, that is something like identifier. See, suppose I'm calling from Praveen. How I'm going to calling from Praveen? So Praveen having the name is nothing but a Praveen is a gents. So gents having different names, and the ladies having different names, right? Based on the name also we can identify the gender. right? So that is how we are identified. So that is something like based on the name. Identifier is nothing but whatever value you are declaring, that is something like a identifier. Either you can declare the class name or variable name. See here, integer age. Age is the identifier. So we are storing the age value into the particular variable. Okay, so here boolean is run. Is run is the identifier. Based on the identifier, so it will run the programming. So something like that identifier. Identifier has nothing but a, we are giving the name for the particular property. Okay, either it is an organization, either it is a person, either it is an object, whatever may be. Okay, so name is nothing but it is a name given to a variables, methods, classes, interface, etc. Okay, so that is. Now, so names are contained. Names are contains. Generally, what type of parameters it is contain means name. Name can contain A to Z, capital Z, or maybe small a to small z. Okay, name always start with the character. Okay, not for digit. Okay, so sometimes name is contain digits as well. That is something like 0 to 9. And also name is contain underscore also it is contained. Name is contained dollar also. Dollar is nothing but a global variable. Any variable it is contained dollar symbol, that is something like a global variable. Either you can use special characters or maybe digits or name. But here name should not start with zero. Sorry, digit. So generally name it will start with the character, right? So either it is a capital letter or small letter, whatever. So always it is start with the character, not for digit. Okay, so and any identifier should obey the following naming conventions. Okay, so this and all very very important, guys. When you are writing the code, you have to follow the naming conventions as well. See, if you check the standard components, if you check any standard components, tabs, everything, it is start with the capital letter. And if the object name is contain two words, then it will start each word start with the capital letter. If you go to plus symbol, maybe some object names are contain multiple words, right? Let's see now app launcher. App is contain capital letter, and launcher each word it is start with the capital letter. Okay, it is something like upper camel or lower camel or lower case or upper case. So that and all you have to follow. Generally we are following upper camel. Okay, so whenever you are writing the class name or maybe variables name or method names or whatever, so you have to follow the naming convention as a developer. Okay, so that the code alignment it will be good and easy to understand. And while writing the code you have to follow the naming conventions because of so as per the best practice. So whatever standard Salesforce is provided for naming convention, same like you are also follow, so that the code is looking very nice or looking very good actually. Okay, so generally any identifier should obey the following naming convention. Means what are the naming conventions is, one is upper camel. What is upper camel generally? What is upper camel? Upper camel is nothing but, suppose like this, student name. Means each word start with a capital letter and remaining letters are small letter. That is something like upper camel. Otherwise, you can use lower camel. Any naming convention you can follow. Lower camel means starting of the word is small letter and the remaining words are capital letter. That is something like a lower camel. Okay, and one more is lower case. Lower case means all letters are, it is a lower case. Lower case means just now we discussed, right? That is the small letter. Which one is keywords always it is a small letter, right? That is something like a lower case. Example, apex, integer, string, string, or maybe implements, etc. That is lowercase. Otherwise, we can use for uppercase. Sometimes we are using for uppercase as well. Few of the functionalities we are using uppercase. What is that means? You know roll-up summary, right? What is the roll-up summary? Generally, roll-up summary, we can count the data, we can display the maximum of the amount of the children data, and also we can display the lower amount data, average amount data. Certain functions we can do by using roll-up summary, right? Same like in Apex also we can use for aggregate function. Generally in Apex we are calling as aggregate functions. So that and all always we can define as a uppercase. How we are going to do? Like this, maximum amount, like this we are using. Okay, maximum amount, and sometimes we are getting DML exception. Like this it is showing DML exception, and also minimum amount, like this we are declaring the aggregate functions in Apex. So you have to follow these for any type of naming convention while writing the code. Generally, some people are using for upper camel, some clients are using for lower camel. Okay, so this is the commonly generally people are using for either upper camel or lower camel. This is lower case and upper case depends on what you are declaring. If you are declaring keywords and all, you use for lower case. If you are declaring any aggregate functions or any errors or something, then it will use for capital letters. Okay, so these are the naming conventions we have to follow. If your organization is not following, then leave it. But if it is a following, as a developer, you have to follow the naming convention while writing the code. Okay, even though you are not following, the code will execute without any error. Okay, right. Next one is variables. So now actual topic is variables. Before variables, you can understand, right? Keyword, constant, and identifier. So what are the identifiers we are using? What are the keywords we are using? What are the constants we are using in Apex? Now, what is variable in Salesforce? So variable is nothing but it is a name given to the memory location, right? Memory location where we can store the data, right? Where we can store the data and perform the changes based on your requirement or your needs, right? See, suppose you are going to store the data. Example, if you go to here, if you go to account, so before going to save the account, when click on new button, one memory location is created here, right? Backend one memory location is created. So whenever you save the data, whenever you enter the data, this data saved into certain variable. So that variable is either name variable or account name variable. So based on what Salesforce is defined backend, that variable it will store the data. Okay, so data type is different. Variable is it hold the data whatever you entered based on the business. Okay, so that is something like a variable. Variable, it is a name given to the memory location. Okay, in Apex. Example, it is a name given to memory location where we can store the data and perform the changes. If you change the date changes based on your requirements. Okay, so that is, so generally example is name or employee name, employee phone number, age, and location, address, current address, permanent address. Okay, so etc. So these are the variables. Okay, so variables are just given the name, whichever data where you are storing, the data is stored into that particular variable. Okay, now next one is data types. Data types is nothing but which type of data user is going to enter. Which type of data user is going to enter. See, suppose the field or the variable expecting integer value. Okay, so suppose I'm going to store only for integer value into the variable. Okay, so variable, it is not decided which type of data we are going to save. Okay, so if you declare simply variable without declaring data type, that variable is allowing any type of data. But I want to store only numeric data. If user is entered any test data, we are not going to allow that test data to that particular variable. Who will decide that? Which type of data user is going to enter? Who will decide? That data type will decide. Okay. So data type is nothing but type of the data stored into the variable that it will decide by the data type. Okay, which type of data user is going to enter, that it will decide by the data type. If you go to Salesforce, whenever you are creating new field, first you have to select the data type. Why? Because whenever user is enter the data, what type of data user is going to enter, that you have to select here. Same like in programming also, what type of data we are going to save into the variable, that data it will decide based on the data type only. Okay, based on the data type. So type of the data stored into the variables. Okay, and here type and range also we can define, right? Type and range also it will decide by the data type only. So if you want to allow only 80 characters, see, suppose if you go to Salesforce, see here example, consider as a test value. It is a test data type, and also it is allowing up to 255 characters only. It is more than 255 characters, it is not allowing. Okay, that is the limitation. So that range also we can decide based on the data type also. That is something like range of the data that is stored in variables. That also it will decide. Okay, so Apex supporting following data types. Supporting following data types. Okay, so what are the data types it is supporting? First one is primitive data type. Primitive data types. Second one is S object data type. S object data types. And the third one is collections. Okay. Third one is collections. Collections. CTION collections. And finally, Apex class defined by the user. Class also one of the data type. User in Salesforce. Okay, finally there is a enums. So these are the data types it will support in Apex class. Okay, so primitive data types, S object data types, collections, Apex defined by the class, and also enums. These three are very important. Regularly we are using these three data types. Okay, Apex class anyway we are going to define. So let's discuss one by one. What is primitive data type? Primitive data types. So generally primitive data types is, first one is blob. Okay, so this is the primitive data type. If you want the more data types, you can search in Google as well. Okay, so primitive data types in Salesforce Apex, enter. So if you enter here, see the developer guide, it will come. So these are the primitive data types we have: blob, boolean, date, decimal, see ID. Multiple primitive data types are available here. Okay, I will explain some of the data types, don't worry. So if you want in detail, if you want more primitive data types, if anything missing in my notes, then we can refer this document as well. You can search in Google, it will get a whatever primitive data types it is support for the Apex, that it will display into the document. Right, what is the blob variable? So generally, right? So in any website, whenever you click on the button, it will generate one PDF file, right? It will generate one PDF file. Or do you want to download any PDF file when click on button? So how it will download? So the data, so whatever data it is there in website, it is automatically converted into PDF file. Okay. So if you want to convert any binary data, normal data to binary data in one name, or if you want to generate any PDF files, then we are using for blob variable, blob data type. Okay, blob data type is nothing but a collection of binary data under one name. One name means it will generate the files. So if you want to convert any normal records to any binary data, then we can use for blob variable. Okay, so blob variable is nothing but it is a collection of binary data under one name. Okay, so that is example generate pdf file. So whenever you click on the button, or maybe whenever you click on any link or something, automatically will generate one name, right? That name is file name. So how it is contained, it is a one name, it is contained different type of data in that file, inside the file. That is the collection of binary data. So whatever data, actual data, it is there in Salesforce, do you want to convert the data as a PDF file, or maybe as any another format of the file, then we can use for blob variable. Automatically the data it will store into the blob variable, and it will convert as a binary data to generate a file. Example I'm going to explain for only PDF file. So we can use multiple ways for blob variable. Okay, right. Next primitive data type is Boolean. Generally, Boolean data type is nothing but we can use for true or false. True or false. Next data type is date data type. Date. Date is nothing but it is a instance of the date. Instance of the date or date. So how we are going to get example? I want to get today date. In Apex, how we are going to track today date? Suppose today is the 27th. I want to use today date in Apex class. Do you want to write any multiple lines of code? Not required. There is a standard methods also there. Already Salesforce is defined standard data types. That is something like simply we can use system.today we can get a today's date. Or if you want to get any particular date, I want a particular date instead of today date, then what is the syntax for that? Syntax is that is something like date dot new instance. Date format is year comma month comma dd. Like this we can define in Apex class. Okay, so if you want to only today date do you want to consider system date, then we can use for system.today. Automatically this function it will return current date, okay, of the user. Now if you want to declare any particular date, then we can use for date.newInstance. You can use for capital letter new instance. This is the format of the date you have to declare. Now there is one more data type, primitive data type is date time. Okay, date time. So this is something like instance of the date and time. So example, I want current time. Okay, I want current date and time. How to get current date and time? Both I want required. So above function it will return only for date. Now I want time as well. Then what we need to do? We have a function called system.now. Okay, system.now. If you use system.now, it will get a current date as well as time also. Okay, so that is, if you want any particular time, I don't want to consider system time. I want to declare any particular date and time in Apex. How to declare? Same function date time dot new instance. Here, what is the date format here? So YYY comma comma dd comma. So first hours we can declare, and then minutes and seconds. Okay, so like this we can declare the custom date and time. Okay, if you want current date, then we can use for system.now. Right, next data type is decimal. So decimal is nothing but it is a numerical with decimal. So this is something like 32-bit number. 32-bit number. Okay, that is the length of that. Next one is double. What is difference between decimal and double means? Double also it is a numerical with decimal value only. Double also it is a numerical with decimal value, but it is a 64-bit number. Okay, it will allow more number compared to decimal value. Okay, so seventh one is integer. Integer numerical without decimal. Okay, but it is also again 32-bit number. 32-bit number. If you want 64-bit number, what is the data type means? That is something like long keyword. Okay, long keyword, that is numerical without decimal. It is a 64-bit number. Okay, 64-bit number. Just I am going to explain difference of the decimal, double, integer, long. If any error is getting, the limit is exceeded for whenever using integer, then we can convert as a long data type, so that it will allow more values. So it will support for 32-bit system or 64-bit system. So based on whatever you declaring. Okay, so finally it is a string. String is nothing but it is a collection of the characters surrounded by single quotes. Okay, so what is the example is test, next, Raju, etc. Okay, like this. So finally one more data type is id. Id is nothing but this can be stored record id, record id record id, which is generated by the Salesforce. So how many digits? Either it is a 15 digit or 18 digit. 15 digit is 15 digit is case sensitive, 18 digit is case insensitive. Okay, so that is something like id. And also one more is object. So what is difference between id and object? Sorry, what is difference between these variables and object means, whatever data types you are declaring above, the data types allowing for similar data. Similar data means we can store string of the data only we can store. If you want to store integer value only, it is allowing this data type. If it is an object is nothing but a collection of different data types. We can store collection of different data types, any data we can store. So something in Apex also we are declaring sometimes custom object in code in Apex. That is something like a wrapper object as well. Wrapper object means whatever objects it is supported by Salesforce, that it is nothing but a object only. Okay, so object is nothing but this can be take any type of object that is supported by Salesforce. Okay, so here what is the syntax? Finally, syntax, how we are going to store the data in data type and variable means simple data type and variable name equal to value. So this is how we can store the data in Apex. Okay, data type variable name equal to type. Okay, let's see one example. So go to Salesforce, go to the developer console. How to open the developer console? So if you go to classic, under your name it is available for developer console. If you go to lightning experience, so under setting icon, so here there is a setting icon, right? Under setting icon we have a developer console. Open the developer console. If you want to make it tab, just right click on here. So here it is show as a tab and you can arrange wherever it is required. So this is the internal tool to write a code or to compile the code or to debug the code. Here we can do whatever it is required for Apex programming. Okay, so now here, so this is the file tab. File tab means if you want to create any new component related either Apex class or Apex trigger or Visual Force page, whatever it is required, we can create a new component by using new button. Okay, if already component is available, yesterday already we created one sample apex class, right? Click on open, that sample apex class is here, it is available. Which type of component already existing, based on that component, select this component and click on open, it will open the record. Okay, so this is how we can write the code. Maybe later also we can understand more. And also if you want, this is the lightning experience, open resource and open lightning resource. Open, it is contain classic development, classic related development, and means normal apex development, apex related classes, components and all, it is available for open. If you go to open resource or open lightning resource, lightning aura components we can open. Okay, lightning aura components. If it is a LWC within the Salesforce, it is not possible to open the LWC, we need to use for tools. Okay, this one. And here different types of buttons are available. Save means we can save the data. If it is, we can use for shortcut menus as well. Okay, Control S, Control V, whatever it is supported. And here edit means if you want to search any data, then we can search the data. Maybe later I'm going to explain in detail. As of now, no need to think about this. Now go to open the developer console. First point, how to open? Go to your settings and click on developer console. It will open the developer console. Go to debug. Here we have a debug. There is an anonymous window. Either we can use, we can go to the debug and click on open anonymous window. It will open the anonymous window. Otherwise, you can click on Control E in your keypad. It will open. See, if we go to debug, here we have a shortcut menu as well. Okay, Control E. Okay, so open the anonymous window, and here, see, whenever you write any code inside the anonymous window, it will not saved into the database. Okay, this point please remember. Whatever code you are going to write anonymous window, it is just for debugging purpose. It is just for compiling purpose. If you want to run the code, particular piece of code, whether the code is running as expected or not, then we can run the code inside the anonymous window. But whatever you are writing the code inside the anonymous window, it is not going to save into the database. Okay, which code it is saved into the database? Whatever you are writing the code by using file new button, so this code it will saved into the database. See, yesterday we have created one apex class, right? If you go to setup, click on here apex class. Navigation part later also I'm going to explain. Go to the apex class. See, the class is saved into the database. If you go to apex class, see now sample class saved into the database. You can write the code inside the platform as well. Inside the org also we can write without developer console. But developer console, it is a user friendly, and sometimes automatically it is populated some keywords as well. So that is the reason always developers are using for developer console instead of using for normal platform. Here also we can write the code. Here also inside the platform also we have a ability to write the code here also. But here sometimes the data or maybe some predefined components are not populated. So it is not a developer friendly. So always you can use for tools. Okay, tools are always, it is a developer friendly, right? We can have multiple options to write the code easiest way. Okay, right. Now go to developer console. Again, I'm going to explain. Go to the debug, open the anonymous window. Here we can write the code for compiling purpose, or if you want to test any piece of code, you can write the code here. Again, I'm telling, whatever code you are going to write here, sorry, it is not saved into the database. It is not saved into the database. 1 minute. Right. Let's see data types and variables. Example. So what is the example? See, first I'm going to store string value. String name equal to, what is the syntax here? Go to here, copy the syntax. This is the syntax, right? Copy the syntax, go to developer console. Now, so this is the syntax. What is the data type? First you can enter the string value. Variable name, which type of name we are going to give the particular memory location. So the name is, suppose I'm going to store some employee details, last name equal to Raju. So why I'm using single quote? Whenever you define any value, or whenever you are storing string value into the variable, the data type should be string. Okay, if you are mention the string, the value always you can define inside the single quote only. Okay, if we are using, if you are not mention single quote, it will get a error. Okay, so that is, so example you want, see, just simply I'm going to remove. Now click on execute. Now see, variable does not exit. Why? Because the format of the variable you declared, it is a wrong. Always it is a string. Always you can define single quote. Okay, so this is, and if you want string first name equal to CHIGICHERLA. Okay, like this. And if you want any, either you can use small letter all maybe upper camel or lower camel, and also string phone number. Why I'm using string phone number? You know, right? Phone number sometimes it is contains symbols as well. Like this, we can store phone number. Okay, like this. And also, if you want integer, we can store the integer age equal to 35. Okay, like this. And if you want any company name or something, string company name equal to info. Okay, like this. And if you want to store any value, date value, see, date equal to today date equal to system dot today. Okay, system dot today, like this you can define. Automatically it will get the system dot today. Do you want to define any particular date, something, date equal to dob equal to date dot, see here, automatically it will come new instance. What is the year is 1989, and month is, just replace the month is 0404, and the day is 10. Like this we can define the date value, particular date value. Okay, now one more is, if you want to define any decimal value, decimal equal to salary. If you want to define any salary, then we can define, so 2346 something, we can define the decimal value as well. Okay, so this is how we can declare the data types, primitive data types in Salesforce. So we can mention the data type, which type of data we are going to store into the variable, and based on the data type we have to declare the values. If it is a string, we can use for single quote. If it is an integer, without single quote you can mention. And even if you are use for date, we have to use for this particular method. And if you want any decimal value, we can use decimal value like this. Now, how to print these values? Control Z. How to print these values? Now, whether I'm going to enter correct values or not, how to print the value? Means simply what we need to do, system.debug. There is a sorry, in JavaScript, how we are going to print the value? Either we can use for alert statement or we can use for console.log, right? In C language, we have printf or scanf. Same like Apex also, how we are going to debug the code, means how we are going to check the value in particular line of the code, that we can print by using system.debug. So system.debug, directly we can pass the variable last name like this. It will print only for value. And do you want to add any character for identification purpose? Then we can use single quote like this, employee first name. Okay, so like this, after entering any string character, just you have to click on, you have to update plus symbol. Okay, so whenever you are add any special characters for the identification purpose, why we are adding this value means, suppose in Apex class contain 50 debug statements. So how to remember these 50 debug statements? So if you add special character, by using these characters, we can search by this character, it will show the value, actual value. Okay, so that is the reason we are adding for special character, for just for identification purpose. Okay, for searching purpose. So whenever I add special character, we have to add the plus symbol. Otherwise, it is not allowing. This is the syntax of the printing the value. So employee first name. Again, if you want multiple debug statements, again you can enter like this: employee phone number, employee whatever it is required. Okay, so employee last name we can use, and employee company name. Last name is, where is the last name? Sorry, yeah, first name we can replace the first name keyword, and the company name where we are storing, this is the variable. Just replace the variable as a company name. And if you want to update phone number, if you want to print, then here you can use employee phone number. Okay, like this. And if you want to add any space also, we can add the space. You can add space or hyphen, whatever it is required, you can add it just for identification purpose. Okay, if you want DOB, then we can select the DOB, and this is date of birth. And if you want any salary value, if you want to print, then we can print for salary value. Okay, and if you want to today date, then we can use for today date. Okay, like this, today date. Now how to execute this value? Okay, so before that I'm going to copy this code in notepad. Right, go to Salesforce. Now how we are going to execute? See here, there is a two buttons we have. One is execute highlighted. If you want to run only two lines of code, then select this one and click on execute highlighted. Only whatever values you selected, whatever lines of code you selected, only the particular lines only it will execute. Or if you click on execute, whatever code you written inside anonymous window, all the lines of code it will execute. Okay, and again, coming to open log. What is open log? See here, there is a logs here we have. If we go to here, logs are created here. Okay, if we are not click on this button, automatically log is created. When click on double click, then only the log is opened. The log is open. Instead of clicking once again, if you select this box, automatically log is created and it will open the log as well. Okay, so that is the advantage for open log. Means we are reducing one click here. Okay, and if you want to remove these logs, then go to debug. There is a clear button is there. Just click on log panel, shift alt G. Either you can use for shift alt G, automatically it will delete. Otherwise you can go to debug and clear, click on here. See, all logs are deleted here. Okay, now I'm going to execute this log. Just click on execute. See, log is created automatically and it will open as well. See, the read is, it is already open. Now here there is a four buttons we have. Just click on debug only. Whatever debug statements we have, only the particular piece of output only it will show. Okay, just click on debug only. See, here debug statements are coming here. See, now employee first name is Chigcharla. Yes, the value is printed. Employee last name is Raju, and employee company name is Infi. Phone number. See, employee date of birth, whatever I have entered, employee date of birth, it will show for the date. This is particular date. If you want current date, see, today's date is 27/9/2023. See, it is printed by today's date. How it is print? System.today. If you want to use system.now, it will print both time and date. See, employee salary also it is printed. Means this is how we can define the primitive data types in Apex class. Do you want to define any primitive data type inside the Apex class, or do you want to store any constant value into the variable, or do you want to store any particular value into the variable based on the type? Then you have to declare like this. Okay, if you want more data, commonly these are the data types only we are using. We are using 90% in Apex. Maybe additional data types maybe we have. Then you can go through the document. Okay, hope you clear what is data type. Clear now? Primitive data types. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. And also next one is S object data type. S object data types. What is S object? Tell me. Anyone knows what is S object? What is S object? What is S object in Salesforce generally? So S object is nothing but a Salesforce object. Salesforce object. People are thinking like standard object. Most of the people are thinking like S object is nothing but a standard object. No, S object is nothing but a Salesforce object. Okay, Salesforce object means either it is a standard object or custom object. Okay, so generally we can refer standard objects in Apex, and also we can refer custom objects in Apex, and also always we can refer always we can refer API name of the object. API name of the object. System is not allowing label name. Why system is not allowing label name means label name maybe it is having duplicate data, but API name always it should be unique in the system. So always whenever referring not only object name, field name, any kind of metadata, whenever you are referring any kind of metadata from database into Apex class or Apex, always you have to use for API name. Okay, API name is nothing but a unique name. That is also developer name. Here call it as a developer name, unique name, API name. So whatever you want, you can call it. Okay, right. Generally, API is nothing but what is the API? API is nothing but application programming interface. Application programming interface. Okay. Now let's go for here. Remove this. Yes, object. Suppose I'm going to store account data. How to store account data? So if it is a single record, okay, if it is a single record, how to store the data? If it is a standard object, if it is a standard object like this, you can store account ACC equal to new account. Because of account label name and API name is same, right? This is okay. So here we can store the data. Object is nothing but just now we discussed, right? Previous primitive data types are nothing but primitive data type. Always it is allowing similar data. It is a string data we can allow. It is a integer data. If you want to store string data to integer data type, it's not allowing. But if it is a object, if it is an object, we can store collection of similar data type or maybe different data type data also you can store. Now ACC dot field name we have to enter. So this is the data type is S object standard object. This is the variable. We are creating new instance of the object. We are creating one memory location backend. That location we can store whatever values it is required. Object is contain multiple fields. So the multiple fields are stored into ACC. How to store? ACC dot name. Name is the one of the field. Then we can enter infi account. Okay. Now ACC dot phone number. Phone number is the test value. We can enter any value. ACC dot account number. Why I'm using account number? Account number without space. API name of the account number is this one. Account number also it is a combination of string and number value. Okay, if you go to account here, if you go to object manager, if you go to account, go to the fields. So these are the API names. See, account number label name is this one, but API name is account number. Okay, same like if you want to store ACC dot rating equal to rating is hot, then we can store the value. Like this, we can store single data into the variable. Okay, if you want to store multiple object data, that it will store later. Okay, at the time of collections we'll discuss. Okay, hope you clear how to create object. Now if it is a custom object, if it is a custom object, how to store the custom object? What are the custom objects we have? If you go to object manager, is there any academic is the custom object, right? Just give, otherwise maybe apply leave. We can use the apply leave. Just simply apply leave equal to new apply leave. That's it. Okay, if you go to apply leave here, what are the fields we have? So if you use go to field level fields and relationship, only leave ID is available and the remaining fields are not available. If you want to populate any owner or leave ID is auto number, right? automatically it is updated. If you want to store any data, we can store any data if the apply leave is having different fields. Okay, so this is how we can use s object variable or s object data type in Apex. This is the single record. If you want a multiple record, then we can use for list. That anyway I'm going to cover in collections. Okay, collections is one of the data type, right? So that it will cover collections. Okay, simply we can remember how we are going to declare the s object in Apex means this is how we can declare the s object. Okay, it is a single record. If it is a multiple records want to store, list of s object API name and the list name, that is variable name, new equal to list of s object API name. Okay, like this we can store the multiple records. Okay, this is how we can store the multiple records. Just give me 1 minute. Do you have any call today? Yeah, I have a call. Okay, so hope you clear what is s object data type. Tomorrow we are going to extend this functionality like local variable, global variable, and what are the different types of signs we are using, different types of parameters we are using. That and all we'll discuss in detail. Okay, hope you clear today's class. What is constant, keyword, identifier, data type, primitive data type, s object data type.